whole idea of doing these podcasts is to slow down. I think I can do that with the earth and the heavens. With the moon and earth, Venus and Taurus, And so it's a great opportunity to slow everything down. Just relax. To breathe. To surrender to what is. To welcome in new. Accepting whatever circumstances may be present in your life. And know that it's all for the best in the end of time. Well, I'm going to be very personal here. I got my bottom braces on today. And I'm trying to say that in a way that does not make it sound inferior or foreign to me, because I know how it feels. I knew somebody who was more ignorant. I say in a more intelligent way. It all stems from that Sagittarius South Node of being the wisdom keeper, and Gemini being the knowledge that we need to expand and grow into and come to understand that we're all one. And sometimes we need to reach across the aisle and communicate, to be adaptable in your environment with what there is, and to tear down the walls and to reach out, connect, collaborate. Human connection is so incredibly important. I think that it's so special, just thinking about it now. Just the abundance that there is that we don't always realize, I don't always realize. We forget that we can watch people from across the world. In the comfort of our own home, we can get to know them on a cellular device on a computer. And right now, and I'm speaking from right now as I'm doing this podcast, because nirvana does not last forever. You can tap into it. And sometimes it's easier said than done. Sometimes you're more inclined or wanting to at certain times than other times. But so, especially because I'm going to be getting a new phone, and that's just going to be heightened and amplified. And may I just say, Mercury is direct. Thank goodness that Mercury is direct. I'm telling you, the stuff that you see on the internet about the conspiracies of Mercury retrograde, it is true. It's true. Stuff does fly around. Communications may be missed. It's not a good time to sign contracts. It's not a good time to buy big purchase items. It's not a good time to really initiate new things. Coincidentally, I happened to initiate a new relationship with a therapist during the Mercury retrograde in June 2021. Here's the deal with that. This is how it turned out. She didn't really hit the spot for me. She just sort of didn't take the reins on, being a therapist and really initiating helping me out. That would be my only thing. Only, um, concern, sort of, it's not an irritation by any means, but I don't know if I will be connecting too much with her because it just didn't work out. And I didn't really need therapy in my life. I mean, I think the only things is feeling abundant obsessive compulsion and, yeah, that's about it. The last Mercury retrograde, it was a doozy. It was the hardest, most difficult Mercury retrograde I have ever experienced in my whole entire life. It was during the pivotal time when I had my graduation. It's also during the time when I got a new computer, which I still have, and I'm looking over it at my desk right now. I touched the keys with hand sanitizer, and I was worried that the keys were wet. I was concerned if my hands were dry or not, if the keys were wet or not. With hand sanitizer, I dried it off. It was barely anything. No matter how many times I knew the right answer, I found out the right answer, and I affirmed it. Because I did affirm it. A little. I still kept going back to those thoughts, and I still kept asking about those thoughts. I still kept asking the same questions over and over and over again. My sense of logic, grounding, abundance was just thrown out the window. My sense of perspective was thrown out the window. That's what can happen during Mercury retrograde, and especially when it was in Gemini. Because in Gemini, at the very, very end of that retrograde, before it crossed into Taurus, it went into the Taurus territory. My mind was really, really scattered. And I just felt in a funk. In a funk about it. Very low and down. Especially on Sunday the 22nd. And then I noticed May 23rd, my energy increased. I felt more grounded. Starting that day, I felt more solid, at peace, calm in terms of my mind. I mean, there's only so many words you can say. Believe me, I think I have more words that I can muster up my sleeve than probably Deborah Silverman. Anyway, So now, the whole point of this is to slow down and get grounded. Now that I have those bottom braces, I think my perspectives and I'm saying this today, it may change, it may get better, and I can already feel myself really, really getting used to these. When I had my top ones on, it took several days to get used to it. Here's what's important though, is that I'm speaking about it, I'm voicing it. I'm saying what I think and feel. That's very, very important. I'm very, very verbal in that way. Enough to do what I'm doing right now. So, anyway. And so, when I really get used to these, when I really get used to them, I feel like I have less saliva in my mouth. When I really get used to this, maybe it will change. But I think for now, I think my views on astrology are going to shift. Because it was really a fun little thing that I just found myself making videos about, found myself talking about it, found myself referencing to it. Astrology, once you learn it, never leaves you. It never leaves you. And so, all of that Gemini energy, and I've experienced, this sort of like I can make pillars. Abundance, stability, not making as many videos, reading less, but really, really absorbing the information and getting into it. And then there is something called GTTM University. And what that stands for, I just made that up here on the spot, is Going Through the Motions University. I have been mindful of giving things away, of confusing a purpose. That's why I don't do very many oracle readings, because I don't know, I don't have the scope of the imagination and insight and background to talk about the oracle readings and the various cards and what they mean, what it symbolizes, and how is it important to the day or the week or whatever your question is. I can only say so much. I mean, I can embellish. Sometimes it feels more natural and there's more flow to my mind and imagination, and I don't think that now is one of those times. It's a mood, it's an energy, and certainly it's Gemini energy. And so I found that when Aquarius season came, before, I did do a lot of videos, but I was also intellectually very curious about what I was doing, and then going through the motions all about the effects and the sort of bells and whistles of the whole process, especially doing, repetitive shorts. And that is why I want to keep it to a minimum. Pace it out. If you're going to schedule them, maybe it's a long trip, maybe there's something going on. And it's a good thing I made a lot of shorts before I got COVID, because then I could schedule them and they could just go out on my YouTube channel day after day after day. And so obviously I wouldn't know the future, wouldn't have an idea, but that worked out well. The original intention was, oh, what have I done on my computer? So, sort of making shorts to lead up to when I get my computer. But yeah, I don't want to do going through the motions, because I did a heck of a lot of that at the end of last year. By that I mean the mainstream year, also known as the numerological year. And that was a turbulent year with a lot of changes. It was a 5-year. So many things can happen in a 5-year. Things are unstable in a 5-year. This is a 6-year, and thank goodness the energy is much more harmonious, much more calm and peaceful and loving. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And sometimes with the Gemini energy, it's so mental into the words and into, the detached energy of Gemini to the mind space, but where are you dropping in to the heart of what do the words mean, and how, how does it feel? Are you speaking from your heart? Are you speaking from your soul, or just your intellect? And I am by no means being dictatorial to those that want to view this and go, oh, well, maybe myself. And go, oh, I feel highly intellectual right now. I'm not that interested in the emotional realms, because Gemini is a sign that then, dropping in. Intellectually, yes, but where is that bridge? And so Cancer season, that Cancerian energy, it brings down into the heart. And so when you have Sun and Gemini, Moon and Cancer, it's that balance of the mind and intellect and then the feeling. So it's a beautiful, beautiful balance. That air and water balance. Not so much of one thing, but not all of the other thing. And that's the thing. I think about Deborah Silverman, is that she, she speaks. Hopefully she, really comes from that heart kind of place and puts a lot of feeling into her words. I think that she does. But so, yeah, I don't want it to be going through the motions. I don't. I really, really don't. So, talking about astrology being a spiritual practice, using the energy, especially, the moon sign, because, I think, instead of all intellect, all mind power, drop in and feel what is going on around you, and, ground into the energies and slow down and surrender to whatever your perspective is, whatever your mindset is. Don't try to overthink it in your brain. Just to relax, accept. So, I mean, there's acceptance and there's radical acceptance as well. However, especially using the moon's energy, if you're doing shorts, it's very, very easy to get caught up in the intellect. And I admire Barack Goldsmith's cutting it down and really putting so much care into those short little videos. Less is more. Less is more. Quality over quantity. And so, yeah, feeling your words. Moon's in Leo, you can really, I'm saying this theoretically, but relaxing into that feeling and just saying, oh, you may want to dress up today or something like that. Reflect, and you can apply as well. And there's a sort of, debate with it. So, I don't know. But I think that now that I have these braces, more as I get used to it, but, now I think spirituality, maybe meditation, I don't really know. I'm a little skeptical of that, but really listening and being grounded and being, centered and in the moment. That's going to really be big focus. Hopefully, I've just been stretching my mind, stretching my imagination to think about new possibilities, new words, new phrases, new things to say. And then it just becomes natural for me when I'm talking and making videos or audios like this one. Doesn't matter if you have so many things going on. I mean, save for a tube down your nose. Other than a tube down your nose, well, forget about that. Anytime, any situation, I think I really want to save this conversation for tomorrow or the next day. Depends upon when this phone comes. However, just to say, what is there to be grateful for? What is there to be happy for in life? And, so I think that things are kind of shifting. And there's certainly, it's like no matter what your situation, if you have braces in your mouth or you don't have them in your mouth. It's like I admire these people who don't have them in their mouth. And I realized not to take the small things for granted. And you learn through life, especially that traumatic hospital experience. And so, that's forget about it. But terms of, I mean, let's not forget about it because that too. But in terms of braces, so many people have braces on at certain times in their life, and it doesn't matter because what's important is that you can do spirituality, you can do all of these things. You know, braces or no braces. You know, you still have teeth and you can still eat. Especially, you know, when you get used to the feelings. When you get used to it. For instance, it was what? When you get used to something different. Because life offers different experiences, life offers changes. And I think it's really admirable to me. Rocco Goldsmith is very, very humble, and she is really a great example of a perfectly imperfect human being living in a perfectly imperfect world. A fine example of that. We all are. Just because somebody edits their video to perfection and there's no mistakes in their speech, oh well, that's a tool invented in a perfectly imperfect world. That's the kind of things that we can do. I would edit my videos if there's something I didn't want, or something distracting factor. You can clean that. All those things. Organize it, possibly. Declutter it. Who knows? But um, yeah. And there's so many people who display very positive energy. Of what can you do with what there is. And you can be, consciously, living. Oh, and there I go again, saying words I don't feel like I deserve to say. I don't know, it just comes out of my mouth. Don't quote me on it. Don't email me and ask me all about it because I can't give you those answers. I'm not the person to give those answers. And I'll humbly admit that. But it's a question of, every single day of being loving every single day, well, as much as possible. I don't want to be dictatorial here, trying to avoid any of that. Being loving as much as possible, being wise as much as possible, being grounded and in gratitude as much as possible. and adapting to life, adapting to changes, especially when the North Node was opposite where it is now, and it's in Taurus. Scorpio is a sign that lets go and welcomes in the change, welcomes in the transformation. Allow yourself to really, really let go and live out this human experience in bliss and all these feelings. And North Node in Taurus is peaceful. It is steady. It's in the moment. Quiet. I'm here now. And it's day by day by day, step by step by step in the journey that life is. About not overlooking towards a certain point. Say for when I get my new phone. But, living every moment. Finding joy in as much as possible. Finding hope in as much as possible. Finding love. Now here's the other thing I wanted to say. Gemini is a sign, I'm talking about Gemini now, that is so mental, so in the mind. You have the intellect, you have the words that are so varied and so intelligent and so well crafted in a sentence. But where is the heart in that? Where's the feeling and the real meaning and wisdom behind what you're saying? That is the big question. Braces or no braces. I thought I would say all this stuff as well. It doesn't matter. It does not matter if you're rich. It doesn't matter if you're poor. It doesn't matter if you have this or that or that. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, wherever you live, whatever situation you're in, it does not matter. What can we all do? Some of us don't have the money to pay for certain things, to pay for certain courses that'll change your life. Instead of doing all of that, certain spiritual practices such as meditation, really calming yourself down, surrendering whatever is, grounding in the mind. Not limiting yourself when it gets tough. And I wish I could say that with the full-on conviction, but that'll have to wait a little bit longer. But to put that on the back burner, meditation is one. Calm, peaceful, in peace, in love, in gratitude, at home within yourself. finding the light, feeling the light from that deep pit of all the dark stuff, of all the sorrow, of all the anguish, anger, angst. I used the 3 A's there, of all of it, all the anxiety, of all the depression, of all the feeling down in the dumps, to surrender and feel your feelings. And then to ground and maybe, and this is, optional again, I don't want to be dictatorial, meditation. And then opening your eyes. And it doesn't just have to be sitting down and shutting your eyes. I mean, that is a form of it, but you can live life as meditation, being grounded in each moment, centered, stable, calm, all those types of things. You have to be totally conscious and totally mindfully aware at all times. But, well, maybe awareness, I would say. So journaling. Journaling is another thing. Writing down your thoughts, writing down your feelings of what you feel, of how this experience that you're going through is currently affecting you. Oracle cards for divination as well. Asking the universe for advice. Praying. Looking to a higher power. Calming down in the mental chatter. Getting out in nature is another thing. Here's the deal. What can you do with your limitations? What is there to do with your limitations? And there are positive limitations where you're setting healthy boundaries, healthy limits, and you feel so much better. You feel freer. That's a separate thing. I'm not talking about that. But with what there is and what you can do, what can you do in certain times and certain moments, days, turning the impossible into possible. And so this reminds me of young Frank. Sitting in a, locked away. She had her journal and she could write down her thoughts and her feelings of what she was experiencing. that day. And she could look out the window, see the beautiful sunshine, see that what's going on in nature, to at least have a window to look out of, to see nature, even if she was inside, even if she couldn't get out into the fresh air. You could open the window, let in the fresh air. You know, so that positive mental conversation of what can you do with what there is really very profound. And it is helpful and healing as well. So I just thought I would come on and talk about this. Thank you for tuning in.